Here's our basic food portioning system, guys. On the left, we've got females. On the right, we've got guys. We've got 4 food groups that we're going to portion using our hand, and your hand's a good representation of your body's size and needs, so it's a good tool to use. Starting off here with lean proteins, we've got a palm size amount for females and double the amount for guys, 2 palms for guys. If in any doubt, you can see below the picture here, for females that tends to be 140 to 170 grams, and for guys twice as much. Next up we have greens, non-starchy veg. For guys we're looking for 2 fist sizes, as you can see in the picture. Females, if you want to have 2 fist sizes as well, that's completely fine. This stuff is pretty much unlimited. No one ever gained body fat from eating greens. I say 2 fists minimum, but if you're getting 1 in, that's still good. Next we have fats, and we're using our thumb as a way to portion your fats, as you can see in the image here, and that's going to be the same for male and for female. And finally we have carbs. So a cupped hand for females and 2 cupped hands for guys is your portioning tool here, like you have an open hand and you have a tennis ball in your hand. So let's start looking at the specific foods in each food group. So with proteins, we want to prioritize our leanest cuts of protein. This table here shows you the leanest at the very top and the fattiest at the very bottom. The leanest ones are going to have the fewest calories with the highest protein, and they're where we really want to try and focus our efforts and get the majority of our protein from. You can still have the foods towards the bottom of the table, but it's going to be much harder for you to eat in a calorie deficit with those higher calorie foods in there. So they're all typical meat sources. Scrolling down, you have all the different fish sources or seafood in general, and again graded in the same way, with prawns at the top. 70 calories gets you 16 grams of protein, whereas with mackerel and much fattier fish, you'd need to eat 241 calories to get roughly the same amount of protein, so almost just over 3 times as much. And finally, other proteins, things like egg whites, different cheeses, and I've put the ones in here that have the highest protein for the fewest calories, which again is going to help you keep your calorie intake low while keeping your protein intake high, which is what you want to try and do when you want to lose fat. Greens is basically any non-starchy veg. They're mostly green, but with some exceptions. I have them all listed here to eliminate any doubt. If you remember, you're going to try and get a minimum of 1 fist size per meal, but ideally 2. You don't need to track greens on MyFitnessPal, but they definitely are something that we want to have in every single meal because they add volume to your meals, which is going to help keep you full and ultimately help you keep you in that calorie deficit much easier. Carbs are starchy carbohydrates. I have a few listed there. Some of them have an asterisk afterwards. That basically means that you can still have them, but it's going to be much harder for you to have them and stay in a calorie deficit because they're quite high in calorie for the volume that you get, so they're not going to fill you up, and you're going to rack up some calories pretty quick eating those foods. Fat sources are all listed there as well. Things that you would expect, things like nuts, oils, seeds, and so on.